Balatro, one of the top selling indie games of 2024 that has won hundreds of awards. It has that inspiring story that every indie developer strives for. A solo dev that quit his job to pursue his dream of finishing his game. He thought that only a handful of people were gonna play it, but it turns out that out of nowhere, it became a viral sensation, generating millions of sales. No help, no marketing whatsoever. Well, wake up, you delusional melon. It's all a lie. Okay, wait, hear me out. In no way, shape, or form I'm trying to discredit here Local Thunk, the actual developer of Balatro. He did in fact develop the game solo, aside from the music, but you get the point. But sometimes, as indie developers, we get hooked on these fairy tale-like success-inspiring stories, which are extremely impressive, but leave one very important detail out. Balatro did receive help from a publisher and marketing experts that did in fact help Balatro reach the popularity it has today. But don't get discouraged, because that is exactly what I'm going to talk about today. How the Balatro's marketing team reached these unimaginable numbers by implementing key strategies that help them in their marketing process. And the best of it is that you can do the same thing with your game without the help of marketing experts or having thousands of dollars to burn. Balatro caught the attention of an already established publisher in the industry called Playstack, and they played a key role in the final stages of development for Balatro, basically allowing Local Thunk to detach himself from any PR or publishing efforts and just focusing on developing and finishing the game. Playstack also took control of all the marketing efforts that Balatro did in order to achieve all the wishlist they got, as well as all the hype that it generated before the release date. Now, enter into the equation Wood van Halderen, the director of communications at Playstack, and the person who talks about the path that his team and Balatro took in marketing and exhaustive research to make this game a success. This is their story. One of the biggest problems that Balatro faced at the beginning of their campaign was something that every single marketing video on this platform tells you to have sorted out before release: have flashy visual assets. And Balatro was the opposite of this. They just had a singular 2D poker match. So Playstack realized that marketing Balatro with spamming ads in the cesspool of content that we have today would be impossible. Playstack had already a lot of experience marketing and publishing games. And luckily for Balatro, they already had an experience with a not so flashy 2D game that they had to market. And it also faced this problem that they named unconventional graphics. So using the experience that they accumulated from marketing this game, which went well, by the way, they went ahead and started listing all the strengths and weaknesses that Balatro may have coming into this marketing strategy. They started with the weaknesses and identified that their visual assets were very weak. They didn't have a really exciting trailer, and that there would be no excitement or very little excitement from the mainstream media themselves. But in their strengths, they realized that Balatro was a highly addictive game, and they lived it in hands-on experience since the whole marketing team got addicted to the game. They also realized that it was a highly streamable game. This hinted to the fact that they needed a demo before release date. And finally, that with this demo, they would generate a lot of data that could be used to fine-tune the marketing strategy later on. So with all these strengths and weaknesses they had in their hands, Playstack created their main compass for this strategy, and they named it the Wheel of Attention. A wheel that contained three main pieces that needed to get rolling to get a successful marketing push: media, influencers, and community. This wheel acted in a domino effect kind of way, meaning that once they get one of the wheels rolling, getting the other ones to move wouldn't be as hard. A quick side note, Local Thunk had released a demo before Playstack got involved, and this demo with minimal marketing got moderate traction, and this was what caught Playstack's attention and reached out to Local Thunk and told him, hey, let's work together. With this demo, Playstack already had some available data, and data that would factually back up the strengths and weaknesses that they came up with in the first place. For example, it was such an addictive game that in the first demo, Local Thunk had the problem of players cracking his game up to get past the 50 round cap limit that he had put into the game, just so they could keep playing. Now, back to the marketing strategy. Playstack knew it was time to go all in on market research. They studied everything they could find about roguelikes, deck builder games, and roguelike deck builders. They scattered the web using Reddit communities, web articles, and even playing these kind of games themselves. They were just gathering everything they needed to make sure that the next demo they release will hit all the sweet spots. After the research, they came up with the main things that the players of these games value. These games provide tons of hours of playtime. They are highly streamable both for content creators and viewers, and there is a big community behind these kind of games. A community that shares tips and tricks, the builds they got, or simply asking for help or talk about the game. And funny enough, they also found that people that play these kind of games don't value the story as much as other players, and they don't really care that much about visual assets. So with all this, they got to work, and they wrote down every key point they needed to have before the next demo. And it wasn't only about development. They made sure to optimize the Steam page, add better keywords, work on the images, work on the sections, have every single piece and link that you need to get to the pages that you want your player to get to. And inside the game, beside bugs or whatever, they needed to add call to actions. They added tons of pop-ups saying when the game was gonna come out, wishlist the game on Steam, and most importantly, join our Discord server. So with all the preliminary research done, the Balatro marketing team at Playstack was ready to get the first piece of the wheel of attention rolling. It was time to target influencers. And that's what they did. They went ahead, sent their keys to the top 100 streamers of that time, and they all became rich. That's exactly what they didn't do. They did exactly the opposite. They went ahead and dumped an absurd amount of hours into creating a curated contact list of streamers and content creators that played similar games to Balatro. They got these games thanks to the research they did in the previous steps. Are you starting to see a pattern here in marketing? And they also used this very handy website called Solinome to start looking into streamer data to see which streamers are streaming the games that they were targeting. Games like The Binding of Isaac, Slay the Spire, or Super Autopets, between others. For them, since the beginning, it was never about which streamer had the biggest numbers, but which streamer would align the best with the game, Balatro. After finishing this magnificent list, Playstack got hands-on into action and started reaching out to influencers. You probably know about this. It's all about the pitch. You know that cold email you send to someone with some visual assets about your game and that short text that essentially is your pitch that you're trying to sell them why they should play this game. The reality here is that for most of us developers, this will not come in easy, and you will probably get rejected a lot of times. And even Wood, the Playstack speaker, mentions this, that he is in an advantageous position here since he has context and relationships already in the industry. So he can get away with the pitch that he used for Balatro that was short and used more of a cocky tone. The pitch in question was Balatro, a poker roguelike that turns 20 minutes into 3 hours. Just play it. So he even mentions that something like this might not work with everyone, but something to keep in mind is that for him it worked because it reached out the type of player that he was actually looking for. People that were willing to dump a lot of hours into a game. So whenever you're crafting a pitch, just keep that in mind, that your pitch just needs to appeal to the type of player that you're trying to reach. Balatro also took huge advantage of Steam's Next Fest. And contrary to what may you be thinking right now, they didn't actually participate in it. They simply released their demo during Next Fest. This helped because a lot of streamers and a lot of players in general just go checking out demo reels on Steam during Next Fest, and Balatro being there helped them boost their demo downloads even though they didn't officially enter Next Fest as an actual participant. And this was crazy because during that Next Fest, Balatro's demo became the most played and download demo of Next Fest without even being officially in it. And just like that, after an insanely curated list and a well thought pitch, the influencer wheel on the wheel of attention was rolling. Influencers naturally have built-in communities within them. And when it came to streamers, when viewers watched them play Balatro, these viewers started playing Balatro. And as they started playing, they wanted to talk about it. and they needed a place to do so. And remember that call to action that they put in the demo calling for players to join their Discord? Well, here is when this comes into play. During the demo, the Balatro Discord exploded. It reached about 10,000 players, and Wood mentions during his speech that here is where they could take advantage and activate them. And Playstack was really smart about it. And they also used streamers and put them by their side and utilized them very well. Whenever a streamer went live playing Balatro, on their Discord, Playstack just announced, hey, go check out this streamer's stream. And essentially it worked in two ways. First, it boosted this streamer's stream and the game Balatro, meaning that it was on the top of the charts. And two, it gave the streamer a lot of views, keeping the streamer happy, making him or her stream Balatro again. Another thing they did inside the Discord is to make sure that the community inside it felt appreciated. And how did they do this? By creating a good space for this community to talk essentially about anything. If they want to talk about Balatro, go for it. If they want to share in other games, go for it. But they just created their space on Discord for this community to express themselves. Also, during this time, Local Thunk was actually active on that Discord. And this, as I mentioned on other videos about community, I mentioned that this makes the players feel important, feel that they are part of the development process, as well as they can have direct communication with the developer himself. And this helps build a way better community, and Playstack took advantage of this. And ta-da! The community wheel was rolling. And with both the influencer and community wheel fully rolling, the second demo of Balatro came to an end, racking up 43,000 wish lists. And now, with all that hard data that this demo generated, it was time to get the media in. And that was basically what happened. Once again, going back to the cold emailing, but now with hard data to back you up. Now, when emailing the different media outlets, they could show that they had hours of gameplay and thousands of downloads and wish lists backing them up. And in no time, all the media started writing hundreds of articles about Balatro, about this hot upcoming 2D poker roguelike that was destroying the Steam charts. The wheel of attention is at full steam rolling, and nothing will stop it. All the marketing efforts have taken us to this point. But the marketing efforts don't stop here. There is still full-on support that needs to be made after the release of the game. And you also have to keep in mind that Balatro had another ace under their sleeve. They could still participate in the actual Steam Next Fest. And well, they basically did a huge marketing push at the end, organizing an organic streamer tournament of Balatro. They gathered up 6 OG and loyal Balatro streamers and made them compete for 24 hours in online leaderboards. Whoever won this competition was gonna get 200 game keys to just give away to their community. And just by entering this tournament, Playstack already gave them 100 keys to give away among their community. By the way, there was no money involved in these streamers and playing the tournament. The only thing involved was the 100 keys. And whenever these streamers were streaming during this tournament, the Balatro Discord exploded, sending their viewers to the streams. And everyone was winning because these viewers could get a free key of Balatro if they just stayed long enough watching the streamer. And the streamer got a lot of viewers. There was though one clause in this contract that the streamers had to sign on, and it was that Playstack and Balatro could use footage of their streams as promotional content on Steam or paid ads. And this was key. Because remember, one of the weaknesses that they found at the beginning of the research was that Balatro was a very hard game to show just on promotional visual assets, and the best way to show it was by people actually playing the game and having fun. And now Playstack and Balatro had all this content they needed. Wood during this speech tells that there were streamers that were going clinically insane just trying to get the best builds possible and playing for 19 hours straight, genuinely having fun. And that for Playstack was gold for promotional content. And just like that, after months of research, months of implementing and executing different marketing strategies, Balatro was released, and within hours, they sold $1 million. It was a complete success. And up to this date, Balatro may be seen as one of the most successful indie games ever created. As I said, the marketing didn't stop here. there was still some post-launch support and post-launch marketing that they needed to do, and that's exactly what they did. Wood mentions it as in this world trying to stay relevant, and well, they achieved it. They released physical copies of the game, different cosmetic collaborations were done with different franchises like Assassin's Creed, Rust, etc. A mobile version of the game came out, and they kept the hype going with an announcement of a gameplay update on 2025. And just like that, Balatro managed to stay relevant, and it keeps racking up sales up to this day. This is the story of how Playstack managed to create and execute one of the most successful marketing strategies seen in this industry in the past decade. And the craziest thing about it is that most people don't even know that this happened, because it was so well made and organically made that it seemed like the game just picked up traction out of nowhere. And that is exactly what you want in a marketing strategy. This video was going to be something completely different to what we just saw. I wrote an 8-page long script going into excruciating detail into how to create a marketing plan. And by the end of it, I remembered that this GDC talk about Wood talking about the Playstack marketing campaign for Balatro existed. By the way, if you didn't realize, this whole video is based on that GDC talk that I highly recommend you guys watch, which will be down in the description. I changed the video because this talk essentially shows how a marketing plan is created and then executed, but in a more flashy, entertaining way. And I actually have a real case study, in this case Balatro, to show you that marketing does work. This talk put in simple words that a shit ton of research, ideating strategies with this research, and then executing these strategies generate results. Essentially, what a marketing plan is. What I just talked about in this video is Balatro's marketing story, but it is also a marketing story that can be applied to any game out there, and that honestly is being constantly applied to different businesses in different industries every single day. But it is not about focusing on the strategies that they use, like cold emailing influencers or cold emailing media, but focus on why did Playstack use these strategies in the first place. How? Through previous experience and exhaustive research about the type of player they're trying to reach, the market they are in, and even their own game, they were able to nail down these strategies up to the dot and reach their intended target audience. Research is key. And if you, as an indie developer, want to make a successful marketing strategy and reach who you actually want to reach, you need to put a lot of dedication and time into your research before even creating your first strategy. It's all about ideating strategies that are based on smart and educated research. And you will mainly be focusing on 3 main things, just like Playstack did it. On your market, aka wherever your game is residing, the genre, the games industry, etc. Your game, and identifying its key weaknesses and strengths, just like Playstack did. And finally, your player. Who would play your game? Who are you trying to reach? And once again, Playstack did this too. But you know what's crazy? Just like Playstack, you can still do this all by yourself without an expert team surrounding you. Speaking of which, here's where we go into some huge caveats for this to work. If you actually want to do this and you want to do it by yourself without spending any money, it is completely possible, but you have to expect that you're gonna have to dump an absurd amount of hours and dedication to pull it off. And if you don't believe me, in his GDC talk, Wood has a dedicated slide showing that it is possible to do this by yourself, but it obviously has some pros and some cons to it. And one of them is the absurd amount of time that you have to put into it. And there is also another huge thing that you might have been thinking throughout this whole video. Balatro is just too good of a game. And you know what? That is completely true, because in this industry, that is the reality of things. No matter what marketing team you have backing you up, or how many millions you have to dump on ads, if your game is not good or fun, it will not sell. So before you even start thinking about marketing, you need to have nailed down your core gameplay loop and make sure that it's fun. I'm not saying that you need a Balatro type addiction style game to succeed, but you at least need to make a game that it's fun to play for your intended audience. or your intended player. But you know what? This talk is great because of that. Because yes, Local Thunk did have this hidden gem of a game in his hands, but at the same time, it begins by showing you that Playstack began with a huge problem in their hands. This game had the problem of unconventional graphics. And the whole talk is basically him showing you how he worked around this problem, finding different solutions. And that is exactly what you should do with your game. Once you realize it's good, once you realize it's fun, you sit down, realize what would be the main problems marketing this game, and you work around that solution or work with them. This talk leaves a lot of lessons that you should focus on and probably save for later if you're working on a marketing strategy for your game. Like, one of the key things that helped Playstack and Balatro was building a community early on. It also leaves a lesson about influencer marketing, saying how you shouldn't be focusing solely on numbers, but more on which influencer aligns with your game. Or it even shows you the importance of demos and how demos can help you generate hard data that then you can use. But as a marketer myself, one of the biggest lessons that I can leave to you after watching this talk is please do your research. If you're a developer yourself, in theory, creative thinking should come easily to you. And you wouldn't believe me how much easier it is to ideate marketing strategies when you have data and research backing you up. If you have a lot of research coming up with original, out of the box, and effective marketing strategies, will be no problem for you. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I really hope that this video motivates you to go out there and start making some marketing plans or marketing strategies of your own, hopefully applying some of the lessons that this video may have left you with. I can't stress enough how much I would actually suggest you to watch the GDC talk video, which again is down in the description, because apart from him being a very charismatic speaker, he leaves a lot of other little details and lessons that are interesting if you're interested in marketing at all. If you want to watch more videos that link the business world and video games together, make sure to check out my channel. We are growing each day more and more, and I have been loving making these videos for you guys. So if you like this video, please leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.